I started getting sick in 2013. Wasn't sure what was wrong with me. Went to the doctors, had blood tests done eventually. Was told I had slightly low B12. Didn't really know what that was, but he said not to worry. Gave me some tablets and sent me on my way. So I took the course of the tablets, which was like a month's worth, I think, or 2 weeks. No, it was a month. And after that, went back because I was still feeling rough. I was tired all the time. I was getting these pains in my ankles, felt like swelling. And I kept going back to them, and he kept telling me it was anxiety and depression, which, yes, I have suffered with since I was 10, but I know the symptoms, and that don't make my feet hurt, and I'm not tired all the time to the extent I was sleeping 20 hours a day. So over the period of pretty much the next year, I was constantly fighting with the doctors to listen to me, to acknowledge that I was actually ill, that it wasn't all in my head, as they kept saying. And it took to the point where I couldn't walk anymore. I was numb from the waist down. I was sleeping 20 hours a day, and that's not an exaggeration. I'd lost 4 stone in about 8 weeks because I wasn't awake to eat. All I could do was sleep. I was so exhausted. I actually saw a different doctor about my depression medication. And he happened to ask me what was happening with me, because obviously I had this dramatic change. He immediately was like, you need to go see a neurologist yesterday. So I went to go see a neurologist. She examined me, did the whole neurological exam. She then told me that she didn't believe that there was anything wrong with me, and it was all in my head, and it was my anxiety and depression. But she did say at the end, oh, what I'll do as a favour is I'll do some tests. So I ended up having loads of different tests, and wouldn't you know it, they all came back with something wrong with me. So I was taken immediately to Hurstwood Park, which is in Haywards Heath. I was there for 2 weeks and 2 days, having all sorts of tests again, lumbar punctures, MRI, CAT scans, blood tests every day, 10 bottles every day, for them to come back and say, it's B12 deficiency. I was gobsmacked, confused, upset, the whole lot. So they then gave me intramuscular injections, which is what I should have had at the start. I was told when I was there by the many neurologists that I saw, because it's such a rare thing to happen to someone as young as I was at the time, I was 21, to get B12 deficiency to the degree that I had had it, because the doctor didn't prescribe me the injections earlier. It basically had damaged my nerves in my spine, which don't come back. So I found out I wouldn't be getting the feeling in my legs back, I wouldn't be getting my eyesight back, I wouldn't be getting how I was before back. That wasn't going to happen. And I was supposed to have an injection once every 3 months, which is the sort of standard, but I couldn't last that long. After 4 weeks, I was just going back down to how I was before. Went back to the neurologist, and she said, I don't really know how to treat B12, see you in a year. Okay. I happened the next day to have an appointment with the rheumatologist, and he said, have you been referred to the hospital in London? No, I suggest you do. So I did. I got referred, went there, and he was disgusted that this had happened to me, that I had got to the point where it had damaged my nerves, my optic nerve, my nerves in my spine, because it shouldn't have happened. All I needed was injections and I would have been fine. So he was telling me that's not normal, that these doctors, this never ever happens, this is crazy. And I heard that from every doctor that I saw, and they could never figure out why I went B12 deficiency, what caused it, but they definitely were like, you have it, and if it had been treated you would have been okay. And then it was after I saw probably the 7th neurologist who told me that I was like, whew, this has changed my whole life, and it did it needlessly. And I'm now disabled. I have to use a wheelchair. My mum and myself, we spoke about it, and I said I don't want to, but I think I have to sue the doctor who was responsible for this. It wasn't about money, it wasn't about getting one over. If anything, it was about, I wanted an apology for what had happened to me, for doing me wrong, and also I wanted to make sure that it never happened again to anyone else. So my mum got in contact with Slater and Gordon, told them the whole story, and that they agreed it was outrageous and decided to take me on as a client. And a long time after that, with lots of ups and downs, I ended up with Madeline, and she came aboard as my new solicitor, and she took the bull by the horns. She was like a Rottweiler, and I mean that in the most loving way possible. And she told me that they were going to make sure that he was held at least somewhat accountable for what happened to me, and that I would get the compensation that I deserved, so I would be able to live a life that's worth living. Because living as I was for about 8 years in my bedroom in my parents' house, where I couldn't go up and down the stairs easily, if at all, wasn't a life. And they've made it possible so I can have this lovely, beautiful home for myself and have my independence back, have my life back, feel like I have a future instead of just having a black tunnel staring at me. There's actually hope now. So they've given me a lot, and they've done a lot for me in ways they probably don't even fully understand.